Hey there, welcome to ShareTreck. This is Raj here. Friends, please indulge me today as I'm going to talk once more about Crispr Therapeutics and solicit your feedback. I think there are many in the community, along with myself, who are very much invested in Crispr Therapeutics and are really concerned why the share price is languishing so much despite monetization of Casgevy and commencement of treatment for at least 5 patients. So let's take a closer look. I want to think out loud about the anemic share price despite positive prospects. So let's get started. Welcome back, friends. Let us first get one assumption established, which is a realistic one. We know that high interest rates mean gene therapy companies without revenue generating products will suffer. We also know that revenue generating companies in all sectors are subdued a bit due to high interest rates. Having said that, let's look at Crispr Therapeutics and make a case for why it is underpriced. We're not going to do any heavy fundamental analysis, but I will definitely use the price chart to justify my thesis and also more information from both Vertex and Crispr Therapeutics to justify my thesis. So here are the facts. Casgevy is approved and can sell in the following countries, all of which are rich countries with ability to pay for the therapy. The opportunity cost of not paying for the therapy is much higher for these countries, so they would opt to pay. The countries are United States, Great Britain, the European Union, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the Kingdom of Bahrain for both the treatment of sickle cell disease as well as TDT. Now, if you look at the Middle East, they have something called as GCC, that is Gulf Cooperation countries, and there is free movement of people between the Gulf Cooperation countries. So you have Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Bahrain who have got the approval in place. So you can rest assured that people from other parts of the Middle East will definitely go to both Saudi Arabia and Bahrain for these treatments. And both these governments have sufficient funds and a low native population which they can afford to spend money on for these kind of treatments. And what's more important is that there's a high prevalence of both SCD and TDT in that region. So that is one area which really excites me when it comes to Casgevy market. Now, Casgevy for SCD and TDT in Switzerland and Canada is also in the progress because submissions have been made. And in Canada, Casgevy has been granted priority review. And I don't think any of these countries are now going to disapprove Casgevy because it's approved in rest of the jurisdiction. So it's very unlikely to have any setback. I'm assuming that approval in both Switzerland, which is the home base for Crispr Therapeutics, and in Canada is more or less assured. And next, if we look at the way that they deliver the therapy, one of the barometers for me is the ATC or authorized treatment centers. And we have 25 ATCs to deliver the therapy globally as per the latest earnings report. And I suspect this number will only grow by the time we get to the next quarter earnings report. For example, let us say Switzerland and Canada are anyway going to approve it. Wouldn't Vertex and Crispr already be working on setting up ATCs, at least one in Canada, maybe in the East Coast, one in the West Coast, and also one in Switzerland. So we can expect at least 3 more. And of course, I'll expect a little more in the Middle East to cover the wide geography because Middle East is a huge area. And I'm looking forward to those kind of things happening. So that's another positive catalyst that is going to come down the pike when Crispr and Vertex report Q2 earnings. So Vertex has already signed multiple agreements, and both commercial and government health insurance providers have signed up to provide substantial access to Casgevy in the United States. So this brings it at par with Bluebird and other providers. So that's a very good aspect when I look at it in terms of people's ability to choose Casgevy over Lifegenia, because earlier Bluebird had an advantage because they had insurance coverage and they had signed up payers, but now Crispr and Vertex have leveled the playing field. So if you look at Bluebird and if you look at Crispr Therapeutics and their respective offerings, Casgevy has got no black box label warnings, so that's one in favor of Casgevy. The second thing in favor of Casgevy is the pricing, which is already $1 million lower than Bluebird Bio. So I think Casgevy is likely to prevail in that section also. And more importantly, Vertex has also secured an agreement that it calls as reimbursed access for people with sickle cell disease and TDT in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, as well as in France. So what is this agreement which is called as reimbursed access? We'll find out more as subsequent earnings release comes through. But I suspect that it could either be an agreement with the government or it could be an agreement with payers. So one of those things, or a hybrid. And that's the reason why I think they use this fancy term called as reimbursed access. We'll find out more. But what really matters is that there is going to be reimbursement, which means that patients will be able to access it if they require it, and treatment can be given and sales can happen. Now, I have reports which say that 5 patients have been dosed so far. In other words, 5 patients have had their cells collected. So that's a very positive news so early in the game. I'm looking forward to more information on that in the Q2 earnings report of Vertex and Crispr Therapeutics. I placed my major bet on Casgevy in the Middle East and hope to see the numbers emerge in Q2 2024 earnings report, where Vertex benefits from Casgevy. Crispr Therapeutics also gets its cut. So when we look at Vertex report, we'll get an idea of what's going to happen for Crispr Therapeutics. So both are tied at the hip. So that's a very big positive. Next, when it comes to diabetes, which is a massive market, Crispr is well underway with a greater ownership of CTX211 than it had earlier, because ViaCyte has gone out and Vertex has gone out. What's more, if Vertex succeeded with their diabetes therapy and used CRISPR-Cas9, Crispr Therapeutics will get a royalty. So that's another big plus point. And as you know, CTX211 is already in an advanced stage in Canada in the clinical trials. So I'm looking forward to that also becoming a big revenue earner, because it's a huge area of business. It's got a big market size in diabetes. And I'm not going to consider the next generation conditioning anti-CD117 initiative because it's still in preclinical stage, and I don't want to count the chickens before they are hatched. Earlier, I was disappointed with CRISPR dropping CTX 130 and 120, but as I read more about why they did it and understand how 2 key edits help the therapy to persist and fight the adverse tumor environment, I think it was the step in the right direction and a continuation of the initial investigation and investment with added robustness of approach. So none of the investment has been wasted. Instead, it has been enhanced. So should CTX 112 or CTX 131 succeed, and I have every reason to believe it will, because there are other products with similar strategies that have succeeded, I think that will be a second revenue stream for Crispr Therapeutics, wholly owned. And do I think it will happen this year? Not at all. I'm being realistic. However, I do believe Samarth Kulkarni when he said in the earnings report that we should expect multiple data readouts in the next 18 months across various indications. So I think each of these data readouts could be a catalyst, and thereby setting up CRISPR as a good swing trade opportunity from time to time in the next 18 months. Also, the next 18 months should see multiple rate cuts. This means the confluence of catalysts and rate cuts should improve the share price in a meaningful manner. I'm expecting CRISPR to not have too much of overhang from the high interest rates because it has over $2 billion cash in its balance sheet. Assuming that we get our first rate cut in July, I think the prospects of CRISPR to raise is much higher than any other stock in our genomics watch list. In light of this, let's look at the professional analyst price target and ratings for CRISPR. As you can see in the graphics here, I'm talking about original target price and revised target price and ratings. So we had Oppenheimer look at original target price of 102, which they have cut down to 95, and they have put CRISPR at outperform. JP Morgan has kept the target price steady at 86. Wells Fargo has reduced the target price by $5 but kept rating as equal weight. Barclays has reduced the target price from $80 to $67 and kept the rating at outperform. And of course, Needham have also reduced the price target by $2 but retained the buy rating. And Baird has retained CRISPR at neutral, and they have increased the target price from $46 to $52. So It's a range of prices all over the place, but now let us go to the price chart to define our own price target, and I invite you to critique it in the comment section. I don't claim to be an expert, but I'm sharing my thought process with you. I'm a regular retail investor like yourself, and this is not financial advice, so please do your own investigation before making any investment. Let's go to the TradingView platform. So here we are in the TradingView platform looking at Crispr Therapeutics, and right now it is 8:50 a.m. in the morning on 13th of May, and I'm looking at the pre-market. The share is up 1%, which is around 51 cents. So that's a good sign. Now, if you look at the price chart out here, right? So earlier we had Crispr Therapeutics at somewhere around $85, and this was around the 20th of July 2022. Let us take that as a benchmark. And as recently as 29th of Feb, we had touched $89 for Crispr Therapeutics. So these are two high points that I'm looking at. And then I'm looking at where we are currently. We are at around 51.36, 51.17 at the close of market on Friday last week. So I'm thinking that we have had so much of positive news. When we had touched the price, high level price of somewhere around 85.65 in July, we did not know how many cash JV cell collections had happened. Now we know that 5 cell collections have happened. And at that point of time, we did not have $2 billion cash in the balance sheet. Now we have $2 billion cash in the balance sheet. At that time, earlier, we didn't have any revenue coming from cash JV. Now we'll have revenue coming in from cash JV because 5 patients have had their cells collected. And in Q2, we can see revenues coming in. So those prospects were absent in the past, in July 2022, but the price was still at around 85.65. So when we reached a price of 89.54, I was thinking that we are coming back to parity and we are coming back to some kind of sensible pricing for Crispr Therapeutics. But since then, we have dropped significantly. And if I look at how much we have dropped, I'm just going to take this widget here. And we have dropped 42.55% since 29th of February 2024, all the way up to 10th of May 2024. This is a huge drop. I don't know what justifies this kind of a drop in the absence of any bad news from Crispr Therapeutics. It has only been good news so far. And even if you discount good news, no bad news and no good news should also make Crispr Therapeutics be worth way more than what it is worth right now. And I would therefore say that at the very least, at this point of time, Crispr Therapeutics should have been in its 70s, around $70 or something at this point of time. So I'm looking forward to a bit of rebound for Crispr Therapeutics, not today, not tomorrow, but in the short term. When I say short term, I'm talking about a week and 10 days is where I would realistically expect us to start moving towards the $70 range, which means that next week, we should start seeing an upward movement, or even in this week towards the end, we should start seeing an upward movement in the share price. That is my expectation. But right now, the way we are is everything is bearish out here. You got all death crosses. Momentum is at the very bottom. And MACD still is bullish, but it is going towards the signal line to cross over to the bearish side. So things are not at all looking good from a technicals perspective. But when I look at this stock from the lens that I used in terms of its price before and its price now and all the positive things that have happened since then, I definitely feel that we have to be in the $70 range, and at least that's my personal opinion as a retail investor. Of course, this is not financial advice. So guys, please let me know what you think about Crispr Therapeutics. Do you have that in your portfolio? And what's your expectation from Crispr Therapeutics? Where do you see Crispr Therapeutics quoting 10 days from now? I am thinking that it has to slowly move towards the $70 range. Please let me know your thesis. Put it in the comments below. Let's have a discussion. We do not find much about Crispr Therapeutics in the general stock market field. So our channel seems to be the one that is doing a lot on Crispr Therapeutics. And if you pull your thoughts also into the comment section, it will help us to enhance our understanding of CRISPR. With that, my friends, I'd like to bring this video to an end, and I'll catch up with you again in the next video. Bye for now.